precinct, and hopefully I'm very optimistic that we're going to get concerns and that we're going to get I'm not going to just anybody, I'm fine, I'm used to this. But I do want to introduce a few people that are here. I'm the chief of the department for the NYPD. Along with me, I have the chief of patrol, that's James O'Neill. And chief of patrol is the person who's in charge of all uniformed members of the service. So the precincts in New York City come under the command of Jim O'Neill. We also have Chief Joanne Jaffe. She's the chief of the Community Affairs Bureau. So citywide, she's responsible for community relations. We have Jeff Manager here. Jeff Manager, who's the executive officer of Patrol Borough Brooklyn South. So he's second in command. He reports directly to Chief Owen Monahan, who's your borough commander. And hopefully you all know Captain A, Tommy, who's the newly assigned commanding officer to the 17th Precinct. Now, in addition to that, around the room we have a host of uniformed members of the service. I won't take time to introduce all of them, but we certainly have representatives from our legal division that's here, and we have representatives from our Internal Affairs Bureau if anybody has any complaints that they would like to lodge. So, I'll make this very, very brief. When the police commissioner Bradley became aware of those videos that was being shown, he was very concerned. And from a preliminary investigation, he did not like what he saw. He was very clear, and I want to be very clear about that, that I believe that the overwhelming majority of the police officers, they do it right, and they do it right every single time to correct that behavior. So you don't want cops who are not doing the job they're supposed to do in your community, and we don't want those cops either. But I'd like to reiterate, and this is something that I look at very carefully, and I'm very comfortable saying, the overwhelming majority of the police officers do their job right, they do it all of the time, and their biggest enemy are the police officers that do not, because it brings them down. And that's what we want to do.
Why didn't they stop the police from choking Eric Garner to death? They just stood there and watched.
We just want to remind everyone that there will be a question portion. As long as we let each person have their time on the microphone, we think everyone's answers and questions and concerns can be answered. Just reminding everyone, solo recordándole a todos que por favor sus preguntas, sus comentarios, esperen que cada uno tenga su tiempo y usted también tendrá su tiempo para comentar y preguntar. Gracias.
At this time, thank you, Chief Banks, and I know that video was pretty difficult to watch, but there's so many more videos like that too. At this time, I just would like to acknowledge all the families in this room on the first and second rows who have been the victims of police brutality and violence. Right over here on the first and second rows, many of the families that have been here in Sunset Park. At this time, we would like the families to come up and speak. Starting with the Daza family, if they could read off the names of the other 31 families that have been affected by police violence and brutality. Can someone come up? You can come on up.
My son was murdered because he was placed in an illegal chokehold, which they say that it's not illegal chokehold. But in my son's case, when my husband begged the police officer to let him go, he did not, and my son died because he did not. And that police officer is still walking around. And we have a jail who committed perjury, and even the judge knew that he told them in their face, there's a nest of perjury here, and still I have to let you go. So could you explain that to us? Because we don't understand none of that. I'm 20 years now, and I still can't understand what was going on back then. And that was 1994, and we're still having the same problem. Perjury, corrupt, the blue wall of silence. We having officers that commit perjury for their fellow officers. And I want to know what happened to those officers that were there and they saw somebody murdered. What happened to those officers who did not commit the crime but was there, standing and watching? Do they get any psychological help? Do they get suspended for a while? Do they go on vacation for a while to take all that energy out of them? Because those are the killers that are coming up now. Those are the killers. They have to go home to be their wives. They have to go home to see their children. And I'm sometimes I think, what do they think? What is wrong with them? We need to fix the whole department from the top to the bottom. Right, we gotta go.
Soy puertorriqueña, nacida en Puerto Rico y criada en Nueva York. I was born in Puerto Rico and raised in New York, and since I was a child, I've been seeing abuse of Latinos. We are not immigrants. People keep on calling immigrants. We are not immigrants. Your mother, your father, those are the immigrants. I am Puerto Rican. And I belong in the United States. And when they tell me, salte de aquí, get out of here, you don't belong here. Why? You tell me why. If you came from Ireland, if you came from England, if you came from Italy, you're the immigrant, not me. I was born in Puerto Rico. I am an American. And we are all Americans. Somos todos americanos. No somos ninguno inmigrante. No permitan que le llamen inmigrantes de ahora para antes. Ustedes dicen somos americanos. My son Anthony Rosario received 14 shots to his back while he was face down on the floor by Patrick Bronson and James Crow. My nephew Hilton Vega received 8 shots to the back, also face down on the floor. And they came to my house and said, "We're very sorry, Ms. Rosario, but your son and your nephew had a shootout with the police." You know what? When I asked to speak to the medical examiner, they told me she's on vacation for 30 days. She can't speak to you. So I had to get a second autopsy. What did that second autopsy? All the bullets were on the back, face down on the floor. Now who is the criminal? My son or Detective Patrick Bronson and James Crow? Mi hijo recibió 14 tiros, 14 balas en la espalda. Mi sobrino recibió 8 balas en la espalda. Vinieron a mi casa y me dijeron que era un tiroteo contra la policía y mis hijos. Cuando traté de hablar con la persona que le hizo la autopsia, me dijeron lo perdonamos, pero ella se fue de vacaciones por 30 días. Le tuve que hacer yo una segunda autopsia. Mi hijo yo no lo dejé hasta 2 semanas, 3 semanas después, porque quería saber qué fue lo que le pasó. Cuando le hicieron la segunda autopsia, dijeron que todas las balas eran en la espalda boca abajo.
murdered March 1st of 2000 by Louis Rivera in the Bronx. He made like he was going to arrest my son. He had him handcuffed, get down on his knees, and blew his brains out. I got a problem with that. When we went to court, and the lawyer asked him, why did you murder Malcolm? He says, I don't know. I had no reason for killing him. I'm going to ask you, Chief, why do these cops think they're above the law? Why isn't Rivera being charged with murder? Because my son, he said, had no weapon. He did not fear him. But yet, every one of our sons that have been murdered by these low-life cops have not had no kind of penalty done to them. They had nothing happen to them. They go back on the street. They do the exact same thing. Don't you dare retaliate against them. I have been attacked in my house so many times. Margarita, they burned her car. Every time I turn around, I'm in court with my children. Why? Because I come out and speak about what these low-life cops do, and they attack my children. I do have a problem with this. How you don't know that you're throwing a pregnant woman on the floor? Come on. I'm blind, and I can not see very well, but I'm not that dumb. Come on, you can't be that stupid. Ain't no reason because you see me today. And he has been so-called chief debating cops. Because when you stand there and allow the same thing to go on and on and on, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why bragging back here, talking about he gonna give these cops a 3-day training? For what? To train to kill 3 more people triple the time? He brought them 9mm guns in here. And what's happening to our children? What do we need to do? Get rid of bragging. Thank you.
Se lo mataron. El policía que lo mató, Luis Rivera, le mató al hijo de ella ellos estaban corriendo y se corrieron a un building porque empezó a llover. Entonces el policía vino, cogió el revólver y le dijo a él que se hincara en el piso. Le pegó la cabeza contra la pared y le pegó un balazo. Le voló todos los sesos, que estaban los sesos de él hasta todas las paredes. Entonces ella quiere preguntar, y él dijo en corte que sí, pero no sabe por qué lo hizo. Entonces ella le pregunta al capitán que por qué él no fue preso. Y si él mismo dijo que sí, que lo hizo, pero no sabía por qué lo había hecho, porque él todavía está caminando por nuestras calles. Esa es la pregunta de ella. Ok, gracias.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicholas Hayes Sr. The father of Nicholas Jr. Nicholas Jr. was a 13-year-old honor student. He was murdered by NYPD in Ball Hill, Brooklyn. It's been 20 years ago. He was murdered September 27, 1994. Nicholas was only playing with a group of his friends. They all ranged in the age of 11 to 14 years. They were playing in a game of cops and robbers. They all had plastic toy guns. Didn't look anything like it didn't look anything close to a real gun. 3 of the guns was orange, 1 was yellow, and the one that my son had was a cork pop gun. Corks pop out of it. The officer was cleared of any wrongdoing, and they placed the blame on the plastic toy guns. Toy guns is just that, they're toys. And also, the kids that were playing with Nicholas said that when Nicholas seen the officer, who was also black, although it doesn't matter, black, whatever color it is, inside the NYPD, everything is blue. Everything is racist. Everything is corrupt. And I'm telling you from my experience, 20 years of activism and witnessing how all of these families of the children are being murdered, not only in New York City, this is going on across the country. William Bratton was the police commissioner when my son was murdered. And I use the word murder these other family members do, because that's what it is. When you shoot an innocent, unarmed human being, that's murder. It doesn't matter if you're carrying a badge. That's murder. You murdered that individual. I myself today, I am so grateful today, because when I witnessed the incident with the young lady in Sunset Park that just brutalized and thrown to the floor while she was pregnant, I'm grateful that she is alive, because these officers brutalize and murder us. And that's the reality that we have to face every single day of our lives. To say that there are some good cops out here, I like to meet some of them. I would like to meet some good cops that are out there serving, giving service, and protecting our communities. In my community, there is nothing for the youth to do. They just hang out all, in the communities. There's nothing to do, nothing constructive for the youth. And they target them. They actually close the centers and things like that inside these poor communities so the kids can be hanging out with nothing to do, and the police target those kids. And that's a reality also that's not only happening in Brooklyn, it's happening in all 5 boroughs. That's the reality of it. Police Commissioner Bratton just allows this to continue. And when he tries to justify, let me say this right here. I was just at a city council hearing about 2 weeks ago, and he was lying to the people in the hearing, saying had a board of how the police changes are being made, and giving the percentage or something like that on the board. He got his board with different changes that's being made in the department. One of the elected officials or one of the members brought the lie to the attention of the speaker, and they fired this guy for revealing the truth. They didn't want to hear the reality of Bratton's lies and how corrupt this man really is. Because Bratton, as far as I'm concerned, he's a racist man also. Bratton is just, whenever you target a certain group of people, you're a racist. That's racist. They are targeting poor minority communities. There are things going on inside Israel. Why we don't hear anything about anyone being arrested on Wall Street? Nothing at all. Why is that? All the corruption that's going on on Wall Street, you don't hear anything about no one of them getting arrested. But I mean, I have so much I would like to say, but I'm short for time. But my thing right now is that Bratton really needs to go in. And also, the reality also is that we got to remember that it's not just Bratton, it's the culture of the system in this department. Because these officers been here before Bratton got into office. Remember that. These guys been corrupt before Bratton got into office. In order for us in order for this to actually stop, we need to organize ourselves. We need to organize, communities need to organize. I'm ready, to give support to Sunset Park. In any community, I've been traveling across the country, supporting various different families and people like that. But my thing is that we need to organize ourselves. That's the reality. This is a really, really painful situation for me, but I tell you have my support, Sunset Park. Thank you.
Where this incident took place. They went there to have dinner, sat down. Young Joanne Lemos left the restaurant to answer a phone call because music was being played inside. And as soon as the officers that knew of him came and approached him while his parents were inside the restaurant and began attacking him. And people from the outside came in and alerted the family. They came outside to find out what was going on. They saw their son being attacked. And as any parent would do, they tried to get the officers to just stop beating their son. And I'm going to tell you, yes, Joanne Lemos has been arrested. I know it's been reported in the papers. But he's never been convicted of a crime. That's one thing that's very, very significant. And still to this day, he has not been convicted of a crime. But what I want you to look at is the video in itself. It explains what happened that particular day. The unfortunate portion is Johan Limo's meeting was off camera. But things happen on camera and off camera. And the police need to be held accountable for everything that happens, not just what happens on camera. Now, to this day, no one has explained how Johan Lemos received these injuries. He was charged with resisting arrest and harassment. They indicated that he pushed an officer. But I'm going to ask you this question. If you're being beaten, what is the first thing you're going to try to do? You're going to try to run. You're going to try to get away. And that's what happened. So there's no place for this type of conduct for anyone, let alone officers. And like I said, I believe we have a need for officers because we can't have chaos in the street. They're responsible for providing some law and order to some extent, but they can't create the chaos as well. And I stand here today, and it's unfortunate what happened to Miss Amistita, but I'm somewhat happy it happened because it brought attention to the issue. If it didn't happen, we wouldn't be gathered here today talking about the issues. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today because she's still enduring complications from this whole ordeal. She's still dealing with it, and we don't know what the repercussions will ultimately be, and we just hope that she'll have a healthy child. Thank you for taking the opportunity for coming out. Chief Banks, I want to thank you as well personally for coming out and listening to the gripes of the people. And I just hope that you do something about some of the issues that's going on. Listen to the people, take their comments. Do internal investigations. I know your office does it, but continue to do it and speak to the people because they will give you information. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we kind of got to switch the order of things. I'd like to invite Scott or Nikki to come and talk, and after that, we're going to have a special analyst followed by the panel, and then we're going to give it up to everyone for questions.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. For those of you who don't know me, I too am a civil rights attorney, Scott Renecki. My partner is Sanford Rubenstein. He's usually the one out here in front of the press, but I chose to come out here today. The reason I chose to come out here today is number one to thank Grito and Dennis and his whole group, because everyone has to understand what they're doing is so important for the community. If you see something, take a video, because without that video, there is no video. Right now, we're involved in some of the highest profile cases in this city that are involved, and thank God there are video. We're involved in the Garner case. We're involved in this case. And if it wasn't for the video, believe me, no one would believe that these things really happen, but they do. And we know they do. Now, Chief Banks, I thank you and the whole police brass for being here today. Obviously, you realize there's an issue, and there's an issue that has to be dealt with. Growing up in Brooklyn my whole life, my father taught me one thing. In order to get respect, you gotta give respect. And growing up in Brooklyn, I gave police officers respect, and they gave it back to me. But being an attorney now, and dealing with civil rights issues for 26 years now, I see a lot of change in the department, and unfortunately it's not for good. The problem has been, since the Louima case, since Diallo, since Zongo, all of these cases I've been involved in, every time we meet with the police brass, they tell us there's going to be change, but we're still back here 20 years later. There's got to be change. Every time there's a situation that occurs, there are reports that are filed that are untrue, and police officers that are not reprimanded, or they are not in any way punished for filing false police documents. That has to change. The biggest problem we see involves the training, and I think this goes to the academy. So really what I'd like to do is, everyone here is angry and everyone here is upset, but we're here for a reason. We're here for a reason that is started. That was to get a dialogue started between the community and the police department. So what I'd like to do is ask one simple question. What changes are going to occur when you see something like this? What changes in the police tactics, in the police academy, in the police training do you suggest are going to occur so that maybe one day we can all live in harmony and not have to deal with situations where a pregnant woman is thrown to the ground, where people are choked to death, where people in Staten Island are choked to death? What changes do you foresee, and what changes can you make a promise to these people that you're going to see take place?
We have a special guest. Is he ready? He's going to provide some information, and then we're going to go straight into the panel.
Hello, my name is Arturo Montiso, and I used to work for the New York City Council. I don't anymore. One of the beautiful mothers who was up here earlier, she talked about needing to have accountability from the bottom up. And let me, talk a little bit about what the top looks like. You all know what the bottom looks like because you deal with it all the time. But here's a little bit about what the top looks like. The top looks like this. Police Commissioner Bratton, who, we heard from Chief Banks that he's very concerned about everything that's happened. My only question to him then is, why isn't he here? If you're concerned. That you, or the people you represent, and give orders to, if you're actually concerned about that they've inflicted harm on somebody else. And I think we almost heard a little bit of admission from Chief Banks that what we saw there was wrong and inappropriate. I think we sort of started to get it. It's a few officers, of course, I understand, but I think we were getting a little bit of a, that's something wrong just happened up there. And yet, why isn't Commissioner Bratton, who, is giving the orders, why isn't he here to answer for the harm that has been done to this community, 20 years ago, it sounds like, and now that he's back. I wasn't here 20 years ago, so. In any case, what happened is
our organization has historically been a part of the anti-police brutality movement. And part of what we saw here was, again, some of that systemic problem that's taking place across the city and across the nation with policing. However, I also want to say that those of you that are here tonight, you're not here without a purpose. 20 years ago, as a young man, I was inspired by a victim of police brutality. A young man who was playing football with his brother in the street in the Bronx and was choked to death, and that was Anthony Baez. That's what inspired me to join. So all of you that are here tonight for the first time, become inspired. Stay part, stay in this movement, and continue to move the masses. Because you know what? As they say, if you don't move, you don't hear the chains that are on you. So we need to hear those chains rattling because they're going to keep us tied. The other thing I want to say is that we've heard a lot that, and thank you to the police department for being here, but the reality is we see top brass out here. And the problem really here is that we don't see the top of that brass, which is our commissioner being here. And the reality is, in my experience and the experience of many, this is just a continuation of the administration that he led 20 years ago under the same murders that took place of the community. So this is just a continuation of where he left off with the tactics that he put in place. And that doesn't also leave with him, because there's some accountability that needs to be put in place. Because he didn't get into that office himself. He was put in that office by our mayor, who also is not here. And questions need to be asked. Because progress doesn't look like regression. Progress doesn't look like regression. And when they knew that he was being vetted, or when he was vetting Bratton, those same parents that you heard here tonight crying and talking about their children being murdered, went to him and asked him to reconsider his vetting of Bratton, yet we still stuck with Bratton again. So there's a problem, and the problem isn't just within the police department. We have to fix the problem across the board. And that starts with those that we elect, holding them accountable because they ultimately choose who polices us. And that's a problem too. We're going to open it up to the panel and then come back to the speaker.
One, two. My name is Harry Mana, and I'm resident of Sunset Park, born and raised here over my 53 years. I've been stopped and frisked, which is the reason for the stop and frisk by a police officer was because I fit a description. Okay, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here because many other times I've witnessed the abuse that's going on that seems to be committed with a type of disdain when they approach the citizen. What comes most to my mind, officers there at the table, is the article that focused on some of the video that was recently shot at that at the Fifth Avenue Fair. What sticks in my mind is a police officer coming over to someone who's already subdued on the floor, surrounded by a group of thugs. What else could it be described as? When you have someone who's obviously well overpowered. And then for another police officer who must be at least 6 foot tall to come over and blatantly, carelessly kick him while he's down. Have you heard of the expression, never kick him off and stop? He's not a dog, he's a human being. How can you say he's being suspended? That's what he's saying in the headline.
So at any rate,
there you go.
At any rate,
to conclude, why is this police officer, there's no way to interpret this video, no, it was not manipulated, it's obvious that he kicked this person while subdued. Why suspend him? Why? Why not fire him? Please, answer that question.
My name is Charles Hagler. I was a bus driver until a cop tried to shoot me while eating McDonald's with my passengers. NYPD previously tried to shoot me for fixed bus on 72nd floor in Manhattan. Name was Sullivan. I got attacked by 1555, the 72nd precinct, walking down the street during the New York Marathon. I spent like 6 years in the hospital after crippled by stroke after the attack. And I was holding a sign that said NYPD stop these, not these black drivers. I was scared of blacks. The rated bus driver, I worked at Ebony Tours because at 77th precinct, because complaints of too many white people. I told Captain Asshole, when is too many? Can't make this stuff up. The problem is, my father ran a police department, and he would have got some of these people. The problem is, Commissioner,
okay.
Hello, everyone. I just want to say, all right, please, people, let's not be fooled. Let's not be fooled, right? There might be good cops, there might be bad cops, and this is irrelevant a lot of the time because the police are an organization, right, that does not protect our communities, right? We get stopped and frisked every day. I'm not from Sunset Park. I'm from the Bronx. This is not an isolated incident. Every day, every week, I'm seeing videos upon videos of our communities being brutalized, right? They put puppets who are black and brown, just like us, to make it seem as if we're trying to do something. We don't need representation in our own organizations. Like Brother Nicholas Hayward Sr. said, why aren't they stopping corruption at Wall Street? No, because they represent the rich. They represent the interests of the ruling class. We need to really ask casados. A mí no me van a engañar. Asúmate de eso, right? Our families came here, most of people in this area came from different places. Our families came for better opportunities. These opportunities were stolen by U.S. imperialism, right? Immigrant people have a right to live because we were enslaved from the African Americans too, brought here by slavery. This is not an isolated incident. The civil rights was in 1964. 1964, and we're still fighting. There's more people in jail. There's Latinos in camps because of the condition of the border. And the police are not going to solve our problems. We need to defend ourselves. We need to represent our own communities and our interests in education, against the police, against the underfunding of our schools, and so we get power. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Milton. I'm a member of a cooperative, immigrant youth cooperative, co-advocate, why is business and support. I would just like to make a quick statement in solidarity with the community. Nosotros en Atlas deseamos compartir con todos ustedes que están aquí presentes solidaridad y aplaudimos las manifestaciones que tomaron lugar el 27 de septiembre y esta reunión del día de hoy. Muchas gracias a todos ustedes por estar aquí. Nosotros creemos que como comunidad nos tenemos que poner en contra de este maltrato e intimidación por parte de la policía. Todo este tipo de comportamiento no refleja ningún tipo de respeto a la mujer, ni a nosotros como comunidad, y especialmente también a la juventud, porque tenemos que también ver que la juventud es afectada de todas maneras, sea cual sea su estatus migratorio. El Departamento de Policía continúa estas prácticas e impone el silencio en nuestras comunidades. Nos unimos a nuestros hermanos y hermanas en solidaridad y lucha por nuestros derechos. Social Park es nuestra comunidad y deberíamos tener el derecho de caminar las calles sin miedo de ser acosados, arrestados o deportados. Sea en Ferguson o en Brooklyn, negro, latino, asiático, blanco, hombres y mujeres, obreros y la juventud estamos unidos en esto y somos afectados de la misma manera. Y si ustedes no quieren convertirse en nuestros enemigos completos, pues deberían escuchar y en verdad tomar riendas en el asunto y cambiar. Gracias.
We're gonna allow the police chief to at least answer some of those questions that I think we all dying to get their answers to.
The moderator asked me to address some of the questions that were asked. And the gentleman, I don't want to receive him, he asked why the officer was not fired, why was he suspended? The best way for me to answer to you this is that when somebody is arrested, right, they have a trial before they convict them. So when we have a police officer, right, he is suspended and then he goes to a trial, and at that particular trial, a decision will be made whether or not he is terminated or not. So this is the equivalent of quote-unquote an arrest. He will have a department trial with his lawyer, and then the commissioner will determine whether or not he in fact will be terminated or not.
So there's a chance?
To your question.
So there's a chance that a person like that could go back on the force? There's a chance that a person like that could kick somebody there on the floor just for no reason at all because he needs to get his rocks off? That's what happened. Hold on.
No apologies necessary. You're allowed to lash out.
What you said, it just boggles my mind because the visual speaks for itself. I don't need a trial to show me that this person was treated like they didn't do, as if he was just of no concern. He was as a punching bag. He was this guy's outlet to release his ugly frustration. How can you tell me this is a trial based that he's going to have a KBA personnel? Who is there for that person to be on the floor being kicked? It's shocking to see that happen.
Congress for Puerto Rican Rights. So the New York City Congress, first of all, we want to thank the community for coming out, right? We also want to thank Dennis and Grito de Sunset Park for really organizing this event and the work that they do. We are with the community hosting this event today because historically this has been an issue, okay, and that we try to bring to the forefront. We're here to support we're here to support the Puerto Rican community of Sunset Park, but not only the Puerto Rican community, Latinos as a whole, right? We're all brothers and sisters, people of color as a whole. And the Asian community too, right? And we want to bring awareness to the abuse and misconduct that is happening, not only in Sunset Park, but citywide, right? And if you think about what's happening around the country, it's actually a national issue. And it's been going on for over 20 years. One of the concerns that we have actually, one of the demands we have as the New York City Congress for Puerto Rican Rights is that along Fifth Avenue, you have these cameras that are being used to fight crime, okay? But the community has no access to them. It's our tax-paying dollars that pay for those cameras to be up there. And one of the demands is that those cameras, okay, be allowed to use to defend those wrongly accused, okay, to be able to use, right, as proof and exonerate those that are being arrested and wrongly accused. And so we're asking the police department, we're not asking, we're telling the police department and also our public officials, okay, to get involved in that and make sure that the community, meaning our lawyers, okay, and even city council members, because apparently city council doesn't even have access to these cameras. And those are one of our many demands. I don't want to take up too much time, so I'm going to pass over the mic. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, compañeros y compañeras. My name is Elizabeth Pierre y soy directora ejecutiva de UPROS. Un placer estar aquí con ustedes. I am executive director of the oldest Latino community-based organization in Brooklyn, dedicated to environmental and social justice. And I'm here standing in solidarity with people of African and indigenous ancestry. And what I'd like to say today destroy families, and they take away our lives on a daily basis. And so this is a call to action for organization, for unity, for people of African and indigenous ancestry to get together and say that we expect and demand a different kind of leadership, and a leadership that sets a different tone of respect on our community. Gracias por la atención.
Sunset. My name is Santos. I'm a member of the Association Yeka. We've been in support of Grito Sunset Park for 5 years. And I don't think there's a conversation to be had with the NYPD. I don't think that they can't say anything today to make us think that things are going to change. They need to stop. That's what it is. And the only way they're going to stop is to talk about leadership. We need to be the leaders in stopping the NYPD with the stuff that they do to our community. He's talking about that not all cops are corrupt. Any cop that stood quiet in the face of abuse is a corrupt cop. He didn't even have the audacity to stand here and apologize to us. He wanted to come here and justify what they did. And we're supposed to be healing here today. Sunset is not the only place in New York City going through it. I come from the Bronx as well, and this is something I see riding the train to come and support y'all here to Sunset. NYPD needs to stop, because if they go, we'll stop.
We're going to bring it back to folks from the town hall so they can speak out. And after we get through this round, we'd like to hear from our elected officials over here in Sunset Park to have a response.
Hello, my name is Henrietta Perkins. I'm from Red Hook. I have a question that needs to be addressed because if I do a crime and he's my partner, he gets charged with accessory. I see these officers beating up people, killing them, and nobody gets accessory. Why is that? You're standing here with me, you are charged with the same crime. Why your officers are not charged with the same crime? And this way, he might say, don't do that. So I want to tell
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Kala, and I am the staff of Atlas DIY.
Hi, I'm Neroli Murr, and I'm also staff of Atlas DIY, which is a nonprofit that supports immigrants and their allies in the community.
We have one statement that we want to share with the community and one with the NYPD, and ultimately a question that we want to ask NYPD. To the community members, we want you guys to realize that this is bigger than just immigration status. This is bigger than where you were born, whether you were born in Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Africa, whether you're a green card holder, a citizen, it doesn't matter. Because ultimately when you're stopped and you're detained and you're just asked to do something you don't want to do, they're stopping you because of your color, the color of your skin, the features of your skin. And that's why we must all join hands and join together and support one another regardless of age, gender, sexual orientation, immigration status, or race. We are all residents of New York suffering injustice from the hands of the people that were put here to protect us all. I want to urge the NYPD to reevaluate the organization and think about what is happening right now. Each and every day, more and more citizens are fearing interactions with the NYPD. That means that ultimately, the NYPD will find itself with 35,000 staff, how many booths you have, up against 2 million New York residents. And you'll be the only one to blame because you saw that there was a need to change, there was a need to reevaluate your system, and you did nothing.
I'm here, I've been stopped and frisked twice, but I'm not here to retell the story because it doesn't really make a change. We already know we have a problem. However, I would like to read your mission statement. The mission statement of New York City Police Department is to enhance the quality of life in our city by working in partnership with the community and in accordance with the constitutional rights to enforce the laws, preserve the peace, reduce fear, and provide a safe environment. My biggest question is, as you said, sir, you're not worried as much because you feel that the majority of your staff is compliant with the law and is doing what is right. However, as a citizen, I see this room full of people and I see that there is something to be fixed. We cannot go back in time and maybe recount and maybe take back the lives that improper trained police officer has taken away. However, we demand change, we demand respect, and we demand to be treated with dignity because it is in our constitutional rights.
My name is Travis Morales. I'm part of the Stop Mass Incarceration Network and a supporter of the Revolutionary Communist Party. I'm 62 years old. I've been a revolutionary for 40 years and I am tired. I am tired of going to funerals. I am tired of going to protests. I am tired of going to demonstrations. These cops kill our children day after day after day and not a damn thing is done about it. And it's got to stop. They talk about, oh, we're here to protect and serve. But they're not here to protect and serve us. They're here to protect and serve the system of exploitation and oppression that dominates and oppresses us. That's who they protect and serve. They're doing their job when they kill our children. Otherwise, why are they never punished? Because they are doing their job. And I gotta say this. After 40 years, I am convinced, more than ever, whether it's the police murdering our people, whether it's the U.S. going around the world, bombing, conquering, invading, the way women are treated here around the world, brothers and sisters, it is going to take revolution, nothing less, if we want a better world. Yeah. And however, whatever you think about that, here's the thing. We got to come together to build a movement of resistance to stop mass incarceration, police terror, repression, the criminalization of a generation. And I want to call everybody out today to come out October 22nd, Wednesday, 1 o'clock. Most of you have the cards here. Union Square for the 19th annual National Day of Protest to stop police brutality, repression, and the criminalization of a generation. To come out in the streets, no work, no school, no mask, walk out. We have to say we're not going to put up with this anymore, and it has to stop. Look, it's been 76 days. 76 days since all of you saw that video of Eric Garner being choked to death. And this pig is still walking the streets a free man. I'm going to close with this. Juanita Young, I, and a bunch of other people went to Ferguson to stand with the youth when they stood up. To stand with the youth when they demanded justice for Michael Brown. And it is time for people everywhere to stand up and say no more. All out for October 22nd.
Yeah, how you doing? My name is Jose LaSalle. I'm the founder of Cop Watch Patrol Unit, CPU. And we basically patrol 5 boroughs. I will be assigning some people over here to Sunset Park indefinitely. I will assign 5 people. We more of a revolutionary militant type of cop watch group. We definitely don't take no crap from police, and we stay the trade straight to them. When we get arrested, we get arrested. When we get beat down, we get beat down. But we will not stand there while they'll assault anybody in front of us. Basically, I also have the privilege to have worked with all these families here, and also have privilege to work with families that just lost their kids recently. From Romani Graham, whose son was murdered in her own house, when they broke into his house without a warrant and murdered this 18-year-old young man, black young man, in his own house. Also working with Ronaldo, I also have worked with Trayvon Robinson, Wilbur Jackson, and Chantel Davis, and also Kamani Gray, which took place right there in East Flatbush, where these young black men stood up against police, and they locked Flatbush down, because that was the first time they seen how a community look when they stand up and they fight back against police. So for 2 weeks, East Flatbush was locked down. They created a police state there. It was locked down. And the last thing I want to do is share the audio of my son, so y'all can hear how he was treated, and y'all can understand. It's only a minute. Y'all can understand how these young kids, young 15, 16-year-old kids are treated.
Because y'all always looking at crazy. If you look back, but y'all always looking crazy, yo. Because not always. It's our job, man. Because listen to me. Listen to me. Our job is to look at social media. You keep looking at it, because y'all always like, I just gotta stop at 2 blocks away. Like, because you keep doing that shit, man. Stop. Listen to me. When you walk the line, put your hood up. You look back at somebody. If they want to have something, I have my hood in there. They do that. Well, what's the whole smack you? You're gonna smack me. No, you're gonna smack me. No, you asked me how to put that. You asked me how to put that. You asked me if I had to put that. Why? Come on, why are you touching me for? Shut your fucking mouth, kid. Why would you shut your mouth? What am I getting arrested for? For being a fucking butt, you know? So that's a word.
Just so y'all can hear, this is how your children get treated every day. They don't get the time, they haven't been able to record it, but every single day, either they come home and tell you about it or they don't. This is how they treated by police, and this is the respect they have for our kids.
I just want to say one thing. In 1964, a great man by the name of Malcolm X delivered a speech entitled "The Ballot or the Bullet." You know, for too long we've been dependent on the ballot. For too long we've been trusting our lives with politicians and officers that make promises and no changes is done. Quite frankly, we tried the ballot. We have the human right to defend ourselves, to defend our property, and to defend others. If we keep talking, we're going to be here another 50 years just talking. We must organize our own organizations for self-defense against the police and build organizations for community mediation with the police, because quite frankly, the police is a military base. It is a military force. We must protect ourselves, like I said, protect our neighbors, and protect our family. All power to the people.
Excuse me, I just want to make an announcement. We've gone beyond the time that has been allotted for us to stay here. We're going to stay here when we listen to everybody. But everybody that comes up to the mic, you're going to have to cut it. You got 30 seconds to make your statement and let the next person speak, because there's still a long line. People want to get home.
The organizer asked me to respond to a few questions. I had suggested earlier that when a question was asked, need to be able to answer it right then and there. I'm going to have a greater impact. But I'm going to answer 2 of the questions, and I'm going to try to count it as best. First of all, there was a young lady, 2 young ladies who came up here. I thought they were very articulate. But one of the young ladies stated that I said I wasn't worried about her. And I'd like for her to rewind the tape. Because what I said was that the overwhelming majority of police officers do the right thing. By no stretch of imagination did I say I wasn't worried about it. I'm deeply concerned whether it's one cop. That's the first thing. The second thing, a question I think was this young lady here. And you asked a question about what do you do to the officers that stand by? And it is a very pointed question. It is a point that very well may be in the culture of law enforcement. And it is an issue that we as a department have to address. It is something that is becoming increasingly clear to us I thought you made a very good point. I would like to be able to get your contact information because I think one of the best ways to enforce it is to enforce it there. So I thought that was an excellent point, and I would like to follow up on that question. The second question I'm going to ask is, when I think someone on the panel mentioned about cameras that we have up and having the ability to utilize those cameras to defend defendants. And my question is, those cameras are available. Those cameras are available to be viewed in the event. And I challenge the lawyers in this room to defend defendants. If there's a police camera that you think or you feel will tell the truth, then there's nothing prohibited about you utilizing that camera. And I want to be clear to everyone in the room, if you run into an obstacle, give me a call, because I give out my cell phone number and I respond to every inquiry. So I think it was a young lady on the panel, those cameras are available if you feel as though there's some information on that that sheds a light when you're a defendant.
I'm sorry, folks, but we've done past the time that we were supposed to be over with, and we still need to hear from the elected officials. Because we also want to give you an opportunity to respond to a lot of the questions that the community has. So, can Lydia, Congressman Chaka, and Felix come out? Wait, he needs to respond. I'm sorry. Chief of Banks.
Yes, I wanted to respond to the comment that Chief Banks made about the cameras. It is correct that the cameras are accessible. However, we have to go through a process. We have to get a so-ordered subpoena from a judge. And then this video, if it is available, goes to the court. And then the court turns it over to the attorneys at that point in time. But one of the biggest issues with that is this. A lot of times, defense attorneys don't know that there are cameras and where they exist. So we can't always obtain those things. It's much better if it's some sort of public information about where these cameras are located, so at least we'll know where they are, so we can turn around and subpoena those cameras. So he's correct to some extent, but we don't necessarily have the same information or intel that police officers have.
This time we're going to open it up to our electeds here, Mr. T. Carlos Chaka,
Muy buenas noches. Good evening. Let me just point out regarding the camera issue. The camera issue is, I do believe that the length of the camera is about 30 days where they can leave the camera. As a state legislator, I have introduced a bill to enhance that those cameras should be available at least for 120 days. But 120 days enough? I don't know the answer to that. 6 months is better? Absolutely. So, I am introducing a piece of legislation to help, to make sure that those cameras will continue to be alive for 120 days. Secondly, it is enough about the issue of police brutality. Enough is enough. I do believe that this meeting that being held here tonight, having the presence of the One Police Plaza here for the first time, let me tell you, Javier Nieves, who been around longer than me, he spoke about 30 years. This is the first time in 30 years that we do have the president of the One Police Plaza sitting in Sunset Park. And with that, I would like to thank the commissioner for allowing them to come down here. And I probably will be agreeing with a lot of you. The commissioner should have been here. But the fact that they hear, they taking notes, and they listening, we are going to follow up to make sure that they are going to execute about the recommendation that have been made here tonight. Our community cannot continue to be taken for granted. Our community can no longer be taken for granted. And let me say this to finalize. I am not here thinking about my political future. I'm here to thinking about my grandkids. My grandkids, I have 6 grandkids, born, raised in this community. And I want them to have the best of the best respect of this community from there to here and from here to there, that they will have a better future in their life. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for expressing your concern. And I applaud that this meeting has been a very peaceful meeting to make sure that we can come out with better results and a better recommendation. May God bless you all. Keep the faith and let's continue porque sí se puede. Gracias.
Good evening, everyone. Let me just first thank Grito de Sunset Park and the National Puerto Rican Congress. And I want to thank all of you for being here. Gracias. Remember, I was a teacher. Chief Banks, thank you so very much for being here tonight, and all of you. But I just want to say that this is a working family community. Hard-working families. They work hard, maybe 2-3 jobs, but they want for their families and their children what every other family in the city of New York wants. And that is a decent place to live in dignity, respect, and security. And they will not compromise security for their families. But security doesn't mean abusing policing. What you can take from this gathering tonight is that policing and effective policing will happen when there is trust between the police and the community. Tonight, you can conclude that that relationship has been ruptured, and it has been ruptured for too long. We accept the fact that you're here tonight, but if this type of police officers who do not understand that they must respect the law like every other citizen of the city of New York. I live here in Sunset Park. I have visited the 72nd Police Precinct too many times on this issue. In fact, Assemblyman Felix Ortiz, Carlos Manchaca, and myself went to the 72nd Precinct. We offered the captain to work to make ourselves available. We have to make sure that there is a transformation, because what people feel is that there is a systemic culture that must change within the 72nd Precinct. Next time, we don't expect for you to be here. We expect the police commissioner to come here and listen to the community. We want to hear concrete steps that will be taken, and as a member of the United States Congress who fight hard to bring money into New York, and we secure money for Homeland Security. Most of that money also trickles down to the police department. I have the right to make sure that if the people continue to feel that they have been abused, and believe me, it's better that you have your cameras, because it will be a win for you, but it will be a win for this community. And if you don't have them, the people are going to have it. So you are on notice. The police commissioner is on notice, and the mayor of New York, who got elected by this community, also is on notice. Thank you very much.
Buenas noches, buenas noches, buenas noches. My name is Carlos Menchaca, and I'm your city council member, proudly representing this incredible community. Tonight, the community spoke. And when the community speaks, we listen. Thank you, Grito. Thank you to the Congress of Puerto Rican Rights and all the organizations like UPROS and all the solidarity that has come here. Because tonight was not about one person, tonight was not about one organization, tonight was about this community pouring its heart out, pouring its ability to communicate some of the most disturbing things that we have seen, but we have seen it day in, day out. Now, I'm a new council member here, but I stand with a deep history of work. And I want to say thank you to responding to our letter, to responding to our necessity to have this conversation. And you're here today, and you're still here. Thank you. Thank you for staying here. I know a whole bunch of people left. But this is how we build a new community. The transformation that needs to happen comes through the blood and the sweat that we heard today. That has moved me in ways that you are not going to understand until we actually see action, and I hope it's done that for you. You're seeing some top brass here, and they have opened their doors to the elected officials that have just spoken, like Congresswoman Nidia Velasquez, to Assembly Member Felix Ortiz, and to all the community members that have just spoken today. And there's a line waiting to be heard. We're going to continue this conversation. The only way laws change, the only way brick and mortar changes in the hearts and minds, if we change them. These are people, institutions. They need to represent us, and they've heard it. And I know that you're going to take this, and you're going to take this seriously. Everyone from the captain of the 72 precinct to the top, we're going to make this happen. We're going to make this happen together. So the last thing I want to say is that there's some beautiful opportunities that we have here with the multiple cultures and the different languages that we're able to be heard today, from the Chinese community to the Latino community. And we need to make sure that we continue to have those spaces where all of us, every single one of us, are here today. Now, the other thing I want to address, and this is something we're working in the city council, is for that Latino representation. We need that. It's serious. We heard that today. We're working on the capital situation. We want to clear that up from the beginning to the end to make sure how we can access that. And there's some concrete things that we're going to work on. But we need to stay united. And we need to stay positive, and we need to stay connected to the work that we're doing. I want to thank all the organizers. This is not the easiest thing to organize. Ginger, Jason, thank you for moderating this. We're going to bring you back, and we're going to make this happen again. And so thank you again to all the organizations. Si se puede, el pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Thank you.
Buenas noches. Buenas noches. My name is Jesse Hamilton. I am the newly Democratic elected state senator. And what's happening in Sunset Park is happening in East Flatbush, and it's happening in Brownsville. I am the director to the state senate office, and I'm also the attorney. And what we have to do is we have to know our rights. We have to know what our rights are, so when you are stopped by the police, you know what to do. And so, I grew up in the South Bronx, and there wasn't great police-community relationships back then, but I think that Chief Banks is here tonight, and we have to start somewhere and improve relationships. Maybe we can have people come to the precinct office, to the precinct, to see the officers, and try to better police relationships with the community. So I think everybody came in tonight for a reason, but when we leave here tonight, we have to make sure we organize and do something about it. I just want to thank God bless you all. Have a good evening.
Hi everybody, I'll make it quick. My name is Angie, and I'm a member of the Revolutionary Student Coordinating Committee. And I just want to make the point that the NYPD, right, is an institution that's not here to protect us. It's here to protect the state, right? It's here to protect not what we stand for, but for what the state stands for what the people with the money stands for, right? And I just want to talk about why, or ask a question, why is it okay that cops, NYPD are in our middle schools, in our high schools, searching us with metal detectors? Why is it okay that they're allowed to spy on us? We're in our clubs, when we're trying to fight against, right? We're trying to fight for social justice, and it's okay for them to spy on us, for them to arrest us, for them to come into our classes in our schools. Why is it okay that students who are here to learn, who are here to be the future, right? Okay for them to go against us, right? So,
I believe one question, she may have stepped away, was that why are cops in our schools? From the beginning of time, we've had school safety agents in our schools. And there are certain schools, because of the level of crime that's taking place, children are not learning because of crime, is why we place cops in those schools. So I don't think the issue is that cops should be in schools. I think the issue should be is that how do we reduce crime and create a positive learning environment so all can learn.
So if everyone that's on the line, we want to keep this to one question, please, so Chief Banks can answer it, because we are past time. So we want everybody here to be able to get on the mic and speak. So please keep it to one question, and let's get an answer. And everybody, please quiet down. Please quiet down. We need to be heard. This conversation needs to proceed. So please, Brother Jason.
Thank you very much. My name is Jason from Jamaica, Queens. I think the main concern people have is that, one of the main concerns certainly is that when cops commit crimes, they aren't incarcerated. They don't go to jail. They tend to go home, unlike civilians. Therefore, my question is, what will you do to see that when police officers commit crimes, such as against a pregnant woman, that they are arrested, arraigned, and face trial, much like the same thing that civilians, the same thing that happens to civilians when civilians are committing crimes. There can't be a double standard. Thank you.
Why do you answer the question? I want to answer your question. I don't want to answer your question. That question may be better suited for a district attorney. Because here's what the process is. When a police officer, such as the police officer that was involved in the incident in the 7-2 precinct, that case is being reviewed by the district attorney. And they will make that decision whether or not that person is going to go in front of a grand jury. Once that process is complete, then it comes to the police department on issues of termination or discipline. So I concur, if a cop breaks the law, he or she should be held as accountable for every single action that they take. So your point is very well taken. You're 100% correct. That process is a process of another form of government entity. But once that process is finished with, it comes to the police commissioner. He is put on a department trial. Inside New York City Police Department headquarters, we have 3 trial rooms where an individual cop, he has rights. He will come with his attorney to a judge, and the judge will make a decision, and we will make a determination what the discipline of that officer will be. And officers are terminated if they found guilty of those actions. As far as the criminal case, I think that the question is probably best directed towards the
Department is asking us to wrap this up. Unfortunately, we're going to allow one more person to ask a question, and Chief Banks answer, and we're going to have to wrap it up after that, unfortunately. But again, this is the beginning. This is not the end of what we're doing here. So please, sisters.
Hi, my name is Carol. I'm a Central Park resident, born and raised in Central Park. I have two young men, sons, that have been harassed by 77 precinct for many years now. What I want to know is why 77 precinct profiles are young youth in Central Park. My son, a few years ago, my oldest son was beat up by 10 officers from 72nd precinct. Okay? The cameras that was on the avenue were not working. The police cameras. Okay? Why weren't they working? I would like to know. We could not do anything. So I'm one of those untold stories of police brutality. I'm a parent, and I want to know why this is going on for so many years now.
Listen, I feel the pain that you have much more than you can possibly imagine. I'm a father of 3 children myself, and I certainly worry when my children go out. I can't speak about the specifics of your case because I do not know what the specifics of your case. But I will tell you this, that any problems that we have in the field to the police department, we can be worked out. But what happens is that, and I'm going to just pick on you very plainly, we can't ask a question and then walk away. We need to stay with the process, and we need to pledge to say that if we are sincere about making a change, that I will stick through this process for how long it takes to make a positive change. I'm going to tell you, I believe in my heart, the police department is committed to making some of those changes. But those changes cannot be made alone, nor they can be made by someone who voices their frustration and we never hear from them again. We need sustainability. And the one thing you will have with sustainability is positive change, or you'll be able to say, I went through this process and you, the New York City Police Department, did not live up to your end of the bargain. Now we know where the problem lies. So if you're willing, I believe that we are more than willing to do what we need to do to continue to make those changes that we need so that the next meeting we have here is all about the positive stuff that's taking place in the police community.
Hi, I also just want to add to that. As the Chief of Community Affairs, I'm there about 6 months. It is my responsibility to work and develop and look at these relationships. Some relationships, as said tonight, that are ruptured or fractured. Obviously, sometimes from past occurrences, sometimes from current events like what is going on, and some of the issues that have been brought to us tonight. Can I be honest? I look forward, and you have my commitment and commitment from the people that work for the police department, that we will continue this dialogue and continue the relationship to work on these difficult issues. And also, not from Chief Banks, I feel people's pain. I feel every poor person's pain. I'm sorry they're gone, who's lost a member of their family as a result of an incident that happened in the police department. Nobody in this world deserves to die. I don't wish that on anybody. And so I feel their pain. do it together.
We won't get it totally off the top. If we want to hear from police brutality,